Flow XC Show Week 6.
Wow.
It's happening.
6.
6 shows. We didn't do 6. We skipped 5 and we skipped 3.
But we're here.
But we're here.
Conferences happened.
Conferences happened. Craziness, right?
Yes.
What was your favorite conference?
Favorite conference? Big 12,
Big
because
12.
we were there.
That was great.
It was super fun.
Oklahoma
Actually,
State
that was the
losing.
best storyline of
It
the
was.
weekend, I thought. Oklahoma State missing out on their 10th straight conference title. Iowa State snapping the streak, but Texas almost upsetting them on their home course. Nobody saw that coming.
No,
the unranked Texas men.
Not even Texas saw it coming. The coach was like, we weren't trying to win. It was just trying to do well, you know, and they did more than well. So maybe Texas. Maybe Texas.
I think we've been skipping on the love for Texas.
They might be in our
Sam Worley
rankings.
called me out a little bit in the post-race interview. But I think he's right. I think they're a lot better.
They might be in the top 25, but we'll find out just how high they
That's
they
right,
climb.
because that's what we're talking about today.
Rankings time.
Rankings.
But as always, ladies first.
Ladies
it's
first.
time. Drum roll. Releasing the rankings, number 25 to 21 is, boom, check out your screen. There it is, Columbia 21, Iowa State 22, Eastern Michigan 23, Michigan State 24, and Utah 25. JoJo, we got some champions. You got Columbia, they're champions.
Yeah.
You got Iowa State's a champion. So and Eastern Michigan champions.
That's right. Now, most of these teams are kind of staying where they've been recently, but nice little shout out for Columbia winning the Ivy League championships. They were dead last year. That's pretty wild. So a huge improvement from the Columbia women.
Yeah, Columbia.
In 2017.
From last to first.
Last year's champion, Harvard women, were last. So
flip-flop.
You know, anything can happen in a year.
Anything can happen.
Shouts out to them.
And also a good rebound win there for Eastern Michigan. We ranked them, I believe, in the top 10 preseason, and they really put on a good showing at MAC and really solidifying themselves in the top 25. But now it's time for the next 5.
The next 5.
Was it 16 to 20? Hit it. BYU 16, Wisconsin 17, Penn State 18, Cal 19, Georgia 20. What I like about this most is that there's 3 oval logos in this section.
It makes it nice.
Yeah, BYU, Penn State, and Georgia.
And they're like alternating like that. Yeah.
And unfortunately, they're not all the same size because my eye isn't perfect, so they're a little different sizes. But anyway, back to what matters. What are your thoughts on these next 5 teams?
Well, you know, Georgia this year has really solidified themselves as that second best team in the SEC behind Arkansas, who, of course, have a nice streak going in the SEC. So, hey, maybe next year, I think they lose a couple girls. Georgia, they have a young squad coming up. They look pretty good.
And Penn State, you know, they didn't have that great. I think that's kind of they're kind of on the way down in a way because 18th, still top 20. They lost to 3 teams in the Big Ten. They got 4th in their conference. It's one of the lower Penn State places that Penn State's ever had for the women's side. But, I mean, they were right behind Wisconsin, Penn State, Big Ten rivalry. Yeah, I think Penn State is kind of still trying to find themselves with not having Tessa Barrett or Liz Chakottis. So, but you never know what they can do.
Yeah, I mean, that's tough to lose 2 of your top women, but, you know, they still are ranked in our top 20.
And BYU, they took second to San Francisco, and that San Francisco team is darn good.
Darn good.
Darn good. This is a PG-13 show. PG. I don't know. What?
It's a G show.
When can you say the F word? PG-13?
I don't think we do that in this show.
Okay. Anyway, let's move on to the next rankings. Coming in at 15 to 11, Utah State. They are moving on up, let me tell you. Utah State staying there at 11. Washington 12, Providence 13, Minnesota 14, and Villanova 15. I think it's interesting. Villanova's still behind Providence.
Yeah, what's up with that? They beat them at conference in the Big East.
You know, sometimes it's all about the field size. And a lot of times, it's easier to beat a team when there's only 10 teams than it is to beat a team when there's 31 teams with your fifths and fourths changing the point values.
I mean, we know Providence is going to have a better low stick up front, ultimately probably score less points than Villanova would at Nationals.
Yeah,
so that's why they get to stay.
Yeah, a 1 point at Big East is not as good as what it will be at NCAAs. So, and also Washington, they got 4th Pac-12s. It's respectable. I mean, they only lost to 3 top 5 caliber team. So
I mean, the Pac-12 is so deep that, I mean, you can get 4th and you're still one of the top teams in the country.
And Minnesota, 2nd in the Big Ten. That was great performance for those women. They've moved up. They were not ranked at the beginning of the year. Now they're ranked not just in the top 25, but in the top 15. So big ups to the Gophers. And now, top 10 time. Top 10. Who's in your top 10, JoJo?
I already know the top 10.
Oh, you already know it?
Let's go.
I was just do it. We got NC State, Arkansas, Boise, Furman, and Michigan. Michigan moves up a bit after the Big Ten win. Furman holds strong in that area at number 9. Boise stays at number 8. Arkansas drops a bit to number 7. And NC State drops out of the top 5 to number 6.
That's right. And NC State going ahead of Arkansas as well. You know, not a lot of changes in these spots. Michigan does move up a little bit after a nice showing. You know, it's interesting to see teams like NC State and Arkansas like really dominating the SEC and the ACC.
Yeah, interesting. These all 5 of these teams, NC State won ACCs, Arkansas won SECs, Boise State got 2nd, but to a New Mexico team, so that's expected. Furman won the Southern Conference, and Michigan won the Big Ten. So they're all did what they were supposed to do this past weekend.
Right.
So there was not really much movement.
Right, and it's hard to judge since they are all in different conferences.
Exactly.
Hard to judge them against each other.
So, but now we do have some changes. Our top 5 are not the same top 5 from last week.
Let's check it out.
But the number 1 team is still the same. New Mexico Lobos putting 4 in the top 5 at Mountain West. Colorado moves up to number 2. And then we have Oregon at 3, San Francisco 4, and Stanford 5. Stanford moving up in the top 5.
Yeah, Stanford, you know, finally ran a few of their women who we hadn't seen yet this year, Elise Craney, Christine Aragon. And, you know, again, the Pac-12 is tough, right? Because Oregon and Colorado are 2 of the teams that are gunning for that national title. And I think right now they're at a different level than the Stanford women are. But, you know, as they reintroduce these veteran members of the squad, you know, I think by nationals, hey, maybe Elise, Christina are back at their kind of All-American level again. Yeah,
I think Stanford, got to keep an eye on those women because they tied Oregon. They just lost on a tiebreaker. So pretty much just as good as Oregon. And Oregon didn't lose by much to Colorado. And New Mexico isn't running away with the title. They still have their big flaw in their number 5 woman. So, I mean...
Although I do think that's changing. I feel like their number 5 is emerging. I think Sophie Eckel, she's a redshirt freshman for them. She ran poorly at Notre Dame, didn't race Wisconsin, but now she ran as the number 5 and is kind of, you know, working on chipping away the gap to the number 4. So I think that she's going to keep on this upward trend, and I think she's going to be their solid number 5 girl.
Yeah, I agree. I still think New Mexico is the favorite to win. I'm just thinking the separation between the Colorados, Oregon, San Francisco, and Stanford is not much. And that really... You have just as all 4 of those teams have just a good enough shot to defeat New Mexico if they have a great day, and it's just about putting it together.
And this is the first time I think we've seen San Francisco in our top 4 in our rankings.
San Francisco.
I mean, they're super good. They have 3 women in the Flow XC top 25 rankings. Obviously, they have defending NCAA 10K champ and Charlotte Taylor, who definitely should be a low stick. And then, you know, I think they have these backup performers like Veronica Pizek, Isabel Brower, who, you know, aren't like the household names. You know, when we think of Stanford, we think of like the Cranny, the Aragon.
Yeah.
I think San Francisco has those pieces. People aren't as familiar with it yet, but they're a team that really deserves a podium spot.
Yeah, I mean, New Mexico has a big 4, but San Francisco has a big 3. Bauer has been coming on really well, and I could see...
I mean, I don't think it was a fluke that Pizek beat Taylor at Roy Griak.
I mean, I think Charlotte Taylor will finish top 5. I think Pizek could finish top 12. And I think Bauer can finish top 25. That's 3 in the top 25.
There you go. I mean, then you're contending.
Then you're contending. So let's do a quick recap. Back to we got from 21 to 25. There you go. Moving on up. 16 to 20, BYU to Georgia. 11 to 15, Utah State to Villanova. 6 to 10, NC State to Michigan, and then last, New Mexico holding on to that top spot, but Colorado nipping at the Lobos' heels.
That's right. What a great rivalry.
Great rivalry.
Also just represented by the individuals, because you have Danny Jones and Katie Rainsberger, you know, the top runners for Oregon and Colorado having their own rivalry up front.
It's going to be fun.
So far, Danny Jones is 2-0, but we'll see.
Katie Rainsberger did get 4th last year.
It's true. She knows how to peak.
She knows how to peak. Now it's time for the men. And also, New Mexico, Colorado. We're going to watch them on mountain. That's going to be fun.
That's right.
So we'll see how they approach that. Moving on to the men. 21, NC State. 22, Iona. 23, the Texas Longhorns, back in the top 25. 24, Oklahoma State. They make a huge drop. And Wisconsin back in the top 25.
That's right.
After getting
Wisconsin,
third.
25th in the national rankings right now. They were 25th at their home meet, the Wisconsin Invitational.
Yeah. And
that was a rough day. I mean, that's what dropped them out. But now getting third at Big Tens, they're kind of on the upswing again.
And they went 1-2 at Big Tens, which is very impressive.
I mean, the guy who won, Oliver Hoare, he was 114th at Wisconsin.
Anything can happen. Cross country's crazy.
They had a really good motivational talk before that race. I want to hear it.
They probably like, we need to prove FloTrack wrong, is probably what it was. But it is interesting now to think about, if Morgan McDonald was on that team, he would have won, and they would have won the meet, because they would have got 1, 2, 3, and they would have enough. But I think they're trying to put their eggs in a basket for next year when they get to host it. But big ups for Wisconsin, fighting the way back into the top 25. Also for Texas, I think it's the first time Texas has been ranked in our top 25 in many years.
In many years.
Many years.
They had a huge performance this weekend, and led by 2 true freshmen. Sam Worley contending for the win there at the end. He was 3rd overall. And then Connor O'Neill, who was actually Texas's top man in their first race of the year. So really young squad. There's some exciting things ahead for Texas.
And I know I'm getting ahead of myself, literally so far ahead, but I'm looking forward to watch that Texas DMR. Sam Worley on the 1200
okay,
leg.
I thought you were going to say like 2018 cross country, but okay.
Check this out. Sam Worley, 1200 leg. He's an 800-mile guy. Alex Rogers, he's around 340 in the 1500. And they have a quarter miler, and then they can find an 800-meter guy. Texas, Longhorns, DMR, watch out.
Yeah. And, you know, on the other side of that, Oklahoma State, you know, that 9-year winning streak got snapped. They're falling down to 24th, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see a totally, you know, rejuvenated squad ready for regionals. Because a loss like that, not only losing the streak, but getting 3rd in the Big 12, those guys, you have to think those guys are going to be hungry.
And I want to pat myself on the back, because I've been predicting it. Iowa State was going to beat Oklahoma State, and it happened. I'm right once every blue moon, and the blue moon happened to be on Saturday. So let's keep going through the rankings.
Right.
Coming in at number 16 to 20, Oregon dropping down to 16. They got 4th at Pac-12s. Michigan State 17, Ole Miss 18. They got beat by Alabama. That was a big upset. Air Force 19 and Washington 20.
Was it a big upset?
For it to happen to SECs, yeah. Alabama's definitely a better team when it comes to nationals. I thought Ole Miss was going to still beat them.
Yeah, it was close.
We'll talk about it when we get to Alabama, but Alabama didn't run their number 4 guy, so it's a good sign for them. But Oregon, I think, is a story here, dropping down to 16. They have such young talent and like miler talent.
A lot of middle distance talent.
And it's just not their year. I think maybe they have to wait a few years, but I thought we've preseason ranked them, I think, 4th in the nation.
Yeah, I thought that was a little high.
Yeah, it probably was, based on potential. Cooper Tear's running well. He was 8th. I mean,
yeah,
Thomas Ratcliffe.
he's really been their top man.
Yeah, he's running, like Thomas Ratcliffe was 8th at Pac-12s his freshman year, so Cooper Tear's running well. It's just like the other guys, like the Prackles, the Haneys, and Reed Brown hasn't been really doing that well, so they got to wait a little bit. So, but Oregon, 16 to Washington, 20. All right, let's move on. Boom.
All right, coming in next, Alabama is number 11, Virginia Tech is 12, Iowa State at 13, 14th is Michigan, and 15, UCLA. Now, we bumped Oregon down to 16, but UCLA moves up just 1 spot, but it was a pretty big deal for them to take down Oregon at Pac-12s.
It was, very big deal. And it solidified themselves as, you know, staying in the top 15. And UCLA had a lot of question marks, mainly because they lost a lot of good seniors.
Yeah.
But they were able to put things together, especially.
It helps to get a big transfer like Robert Brandt right away.
Yeah, that's true. But I was kind of surprised. I didn't think there would be, like, they lost Austin O'Neill, they lost Ferdinand Erdman. I don't think you're saying your name right. I don't know. But they're doing a good job as UCLA continuing to stay a top 20 program. I think the story here, obviously Iowa State, they were 24th last week, move up to 13th because they beat Oklahoma State. But Alabama staying in the top 13. They were 12th last week, 11th this week. They beat Ole Miss with their top 3. They didn't run their number 4 guy, Josh Short, who will probably run at regionals. They're going to make the meet because they tied Middle Tennessee State at Crimson Classic without Josh Short. They beat Ole Miss at SEC's without Josh Short.
Well, now you have to question, why aren't they running Josh Short? Is he hurt?
I asked the coach.
Is he not going to be?
He's running. That's what I heard.
Okay.
I don't know if he's hurt, but they said he's running. So, regardless, whether they have him or they don't.
You have to think they improve.
They're going to improve.
This guy back in.
Middle Tennessee State and Ole Miss were the only teams that really could challenge Alabama. They tied them or beat them both. They're going to get top 2. And if they are, we could be on the team and we would still be a top 20 program because their 4th and 5th could get dead last at NCAAs, but their top 3 are so good, they'll score enough points to be a top 20 program.
It's your favorite topic.
It's a favorite topic. Anyway, you don't like that topic.
Well, we just have talked about this so much.
We talk about everything so much. All right, here we go. Move on. 6 to 10, Colorado, Furman, Colorado State, Southern Utah, Arkansas. Lots of mountain teams there in 6, 8, 9 position. Arkansas, they won SECs, but they didn't run that well, so they didn't really have a chance to really prove that they're a top 5 program. But they still got the win. Colorado State, Southern Utah ran well. Southern Utah gave NAU a run for their money, and Colorado lost to Stanford. So,
right. I mean, they had a streak that was broken.
Yeah.
7 years.
6 or 7, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think they were looking. It's crazy, but I mean, we thought it was possible. The team seemed. Yeah. On a similar level.
Fun fact: the last time a team not named Colorado or Oklahoma State won a conference title in the same year, 1995. Been like over 20 years of Colorado or Oklahoma State winning a conference title, and this is the first time neither of them won. Crazy, right?
It's crazy. Let's keep going.
Top 5.
We're on top 5. We already know the top 5.
We already know them.
Things haven't changed much, but could the places change?
Are we going to move BYU to number 1?
Let's do it. Let's see.
Should BYU be number 1?
I mean, you can make a case for it.
Well, they're not. NAU, still number 1. BYU 2, Syracuse 3, Stanford 4, Portland 5. So the big change here is Portland drops from 3 to 5. Everyone else stays put. What are your thoughts on that BYU-Portland matchup? We were looking forward to it.
Right, so you look at it from the outset, and it looks like, number 2 team, number 3 team, but it wasn't really the real Portland because they left 3 of their top 5 from Wisconsin and 4 of the top 7 at home.
Yeah.
So, but on the other side of the coin, the entire top 5 from BYU beat Jeff Thies, their number 1 man.
Yeah, so technically if they would have ran their top 7.
So it doesn't make a difference.
But then you also take in the fact, if you're going into a race knowing your team isn't going to win because you're only running 2 of your top 5, maybe you don't care if you're getting beat by BYU.
I don't buy that. I feel like runners have more pride than that. Jeff is like not trying to get 6 behind all the BYU guys.
I don't know. The BYU guys crossed in like a straight line, so clearly it was a controlled effort. It wasn't like an all-out sprint. I think maybe I'm wrong.
I feel like there's no way he went into that race. He's like, I don't care if all 5 of them beat me. There's just no way.
I don't know. I think that it was either first or it doesn't matter. He knew he wasn't going to win, so he was like, all right, whatever, just cruise to right behind BYU. But I could be wrong. I mean,
we don't know.
Again, BYU, but that's why we dropped them.
But you also, does BYU deserve that top spot?
Not yet. NAU is the defending champions, and they've done nothing all year long to say, drop us in the rankings. Every meet they've done, Louisville, they just dominated Wisconsin. They beat Southern Utah with resting their number 4 and number 5 guy. So, I don't know. I think BYU's looking great. Problem is, NAU just hasn't given us a reason to say, yeah, BYU's better.
Right.
Because they never race each other.
And of course you can't, the BYU guys aren't going to sweep nationals. So
yeah.
We've seen them have some crazy performances so far this year. But the game will change a little bit.
If it was a different defending champion team that was like banged up or only had returned a few, then maybe people would be like, yeah, I believe in BYU. But we can't. You just have to give NAU the benefit of the doubt. So, like, even if BYU beats NAU at Mountain, you still have to give them the benefit of the doubt because NAU, obviously, Mountain region doesn't matter. It's going to, I don't know. It's a coin flip. It's 1A and 1B. Maybe I should change the graphics. Should I make them tied for 1?
Tied for 1, Syracuse, Stanford, Portland, and
all
the next
tied
spot.
for 3, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, what are your thoughts on the overall rankings changes?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. You know, I think Stanford and Syracuse came away pretty disappointed to finish behind Portland at Wisconsin, and I feel like they both looked better at their conference meet. I mean, especially Syracuse is running in the ACC, which is less stacked than the Pac-12 is. So that's why it's kind of hard to look at these conference championships and compare how teams are doing versus each other. But I also do feel like Syracuse's pack was a lot stronger, and their number 5 guy, Joe Dragon, a redshirt freshman, he stepped up. And
Joe Dragon.
You know, he stepped up. He closed the gap to Philo Germano, who was right up there with Tooker and Benny. And so they seemed like they were running more like a consolidated pack.
Yeah, and also then on the Stanford side, you got to look at someone like Stephen Fahey. He was, what, 70th or something at Wisconsin? And he beat Alex Osberg, and he got 3rd at the Pac-12s. Alex Osberg was 12th at Wisconsin, which makes sense for his range. But, like, Stephen Fahey clearly is better than the 70th that he finished at Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And so that changes the way you look at Stanford. Because Stanford, you looked at, they have Grant, and then, like, Alex is like a strong top 30 guy. But Stephen now is like, no, I'm also kind of a strong top 30 guy, and that changes the way you look at them. I think the way Stephen ran makes them seem more equal to Syracuse in that I look at Stephen and Alex kind of same way you can look at Benny and Germano as like, you know, Benny's
like
a
impact players,
a strong 2-3. Problem is, Syracuse is 2-3 and Stanford's 2-3, nothing compared to NAU and BYU's.
Unless someone gets hurt.
Yeah.
Someone gets sick.
That's
the thing about the sport. You never know.
You never know.
Till the day of the race.
And that's why we watch
maybe
it.
Portland has secretly been keeping out their real
top
5 guys, and they're only going to come out at nationals.
We've been watching our JV team the entire time.
Like Rob Connor's just been laughing at us.
It's like they have like these 10 Kenyans that just coming over from.
Actually,
Kenya.
that's what Alabama's going to do.
Yeah.
Alabama's going to sweep the top 3 spots in nationals. Wouldn't that be crazy?
That would be nuts.
Like,
I mean, they're not going to put 3 guys in front of Justin Knight, but if that happened, Vincent Kiprop,
you never know.
dare I say, could beat Justin Knight and Grant Fisher. You hear that noise?
I did.
There's someone dying.
It is almost Halloween.
It is almost Halloween. Tweet your Halloween costumes at FloTrack. Maybe
Yeah,
we'll retweet
sure.
it. So yeah, hashtag Runner Halloween. But yeah, can't wait. What's coming up next, JoJo?
Coming up next, this week is the New York Marathon. That's the big thing going on. Taylor and Joe Battaglia are going to go up to New York to cover that for us. And then next week, I mean, it's regional week, so we'll be preparing for the Colas show, where we're going to keep track of all the regionals happening and calculating the points, tabulating who's going to get picked for those at-large bids.
And
Pretty excited.
And we'll be live at Great Lakes and
That's
West.
right.
So 2 live streams, Great Lakes and West would be great, especially West. Going to see Portland, Stanford, and Oregon's all those teams out in West. But it's going to be fun. Can't wait. We'll see you at the Colas show update it Thursday.
Yeah, we'll update it Thursday. Stay tuned.
Bye.